crazy part about it is Kendrick really grew up in a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Protective neighborhood, but a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right after Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, the whole vibe in the industry flipped, and Wack 100 just tore the lid off the truth. According to him, Drake wasn't just battling Kendrick on wax. He got a personal warning from heavy Piru affiliates in LA who told him flat out he crossed the line. That's when everything shifted. Suddenly the tough talk vanished, the sneak disses stopped, and one of rap's most strategic players pulled a sharp U-turn in silence. So why did Drake fall back like that? Well, Wack says it's simple. Kendrick isn't alone in this. He's got Piru backing, and when they stepped in, the message was crystal clear. KDOT is protected. What looked like another rap beef online turned out to be way deeper. This wasn't just about lyrics. This was about real-life ties and street respect. Wack claimed Drake didn't just lose a lyrical sparring match. He got checked by the streets themselves. And Wack didn't sugarcoat it. He straight up said Kendrick is off limits. Not because Kendrick's running around leading a gang, but because the Piru community made it known Kendrick is one of theirs. He's not an active banger, but he grew up in Compton's Piru section, and that bloodline loyalty is stronger than any music industry politics. Is Kendrick out here banging? No way, but that doesn't matter, because his people will ride for him no matter what. Wack revealed in a Vlad TV interview that Kendrick's roots run deep, and he's got eyes on him day and night. That's just the reality. Kendrick is guarded at all costs, and Drake learned that lesson fast. This right here is where the whole situation flipped upside down. Kendrick didn't have to call in favors or beg anyone to back him up. He didn't even need security to jump into the mix. The streets handled it themselves. Specifically, the West Side, Piru, and other Compton sets locked arms and made it clear this wasn't about rap beef anymore. This was about respect. When you've actually walked those blocks, grown up around those people, and kept it real your whole life, they ride for you whether you ask them to or not. Wack spelled it out. Kendrick moves like a regular civilian, but the way he's covered, you'd think he was a general with soldiers on standby, and once those Piru names started coming up in the middle of this beef, Drake's whole energy shifted instantly. Before that, Drake was loud. He was dropping diss tracks, throwing sneak shots on Instagram, firing off subliminal bars, posting those petty captions like he was untouchable. But the moment Kendrick dropped his nuke and the whispers from the streets started echoing louder, Drake went ghost. Fans clocked it right away. 1 minute he's trying to sun Kendrick, the next he's quietly pulling tracks while Kendrick's diss records were climbing the Billboard charts like wildfire. This is the same man who usually milks beef for content and streams, yet suddenly he backed down without a fight.
Ain't nobody telling him to be from the hood, but they see something in him, so they love him like they love their homies.
That's Kendrick?
That's Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? He grew up in West Side Piru Hood. That's the biggest Piru hood we have out here, one of the
So what went down behind the curtains? What kind of message hit so hard that even Drake, arguably one of the most calculated, ego-driven rappers alive, decided it just wasn't worth it? And the biggest question of all, why are the streets protecting Kendrick so fiercely when he's never even thrown up a gang flag? See, this protection Kendrick's getting isn't about fame or Billboard stats. It comes from a whole different kind of power. The type you can't buy, can't fake, and can't flex into existence no matter how much money you got. Wack said it straight. The gang members don't back Kendrick out of fear, they do it out of respect. That's what makes him stand apart from Drake in every way. Kendrick was born and raised right in the heart of Compton, smack in the middle of West Side Piru turf, specifically the Tams neighborhood. He grew up surrounded by that gang culture, and while he never jumped off the porch as a banger, he absorbed the code, the mentality, the survival instincts. He's the good kid we know, but don't get it twisted, he's no pushover. Anybody who's heard Mad City or The Art of Peer Pressure knows he's been around wolves and came out sharper than most rappers ever could. And here's where it really gets serious. In hoods like Compton, reputation isn't just what you do, it's how you move. Kendrick never had to play tough or act out for validation. He stayed respectful, solid, and consistent, and that earned him love from the ones who truly matter, the OGs. The shot callers who don't need to say much, but when they move, the whole block listens. So when Drake started throwing shots and letting smoke fill the air, the streets didn't wait for Kendrick to dial anyone. They stepped in automatically. Like, yo, we got Kenny.
Went to town on the kid. But his bodyguard is there, not his ass. He ain't touched me. He's a you know that.
That's community. That's legacy. That's Compton standing as one. And let's not forget, Kendrick's not alone in this. His squad, TDE, is official to the bone. That's no industry gimmick. That's a family with roots and respect. That's a real family Kendrick's got around him, with roots running deep in the streets. J-Rock, he's tied in heavy with the Bounty Hunter Bloods, and Top Dog, he's a man who came straight out the trenches and built TDE off his own blueprint. These aren't just studio names, they're figures who've earned stripes far beyond music. That's why Kendrick's not just protected by nostalgia or chart success, he's surrounded by real ones with real credibility. So when the rap game turned into a war zone and Drake tried to step into the ring, Kendrick didn't even have to raise a hand. The block answered for him. No paid muscle, no begging for backup, just respect in motion. Kendrick's always repped Compton in a way that honors the city. No fake gangster cosplay, no stage toughness, just raw pain, raw pride, and storytelling that comes from lived experience, and that leaves a burning question. When Kendrick has this kind of credibility, loyalty, and a squad that doesn't brag but moves like shadows with loud presence, why would Drake even poke that lion in his own jungle? Something about that move feels reckless, almost like Drake didn't understand who he was messing with. Or maybe he did know, but underestimated it. Because let's be real, Drake's always tried to flash a little street cred of his own. He's dropped those mob ties references, flexed the OVO muscle, and always kept goons standing by to polish his image. Drake's been walking that fine line, playing with the street aesthetic like it's part of his brand, but the difference is, Kendrick's world is real, while Drake's might just be for show. And the thing is, Drake doesn't just drop hints, he lines himself up with some real figures in the game. We're talking about YG, whose name in LA carries serious blood ties, and Jay Prince, the Rap-A-Lot legend, a Southern OG whose voice echoes across every major hip-hop city. With connections like that, Drake doesn't need to swing. He wants it to look like he's always got hitters on standby, ready to move. That's the image he's been sculpting for years, this gangster persona where people call him father, some even branding themselves as his goons, claiming they're scared of him. Not because he's some fighter, but because of the reach, the money, and the influence he can flex. But here's where it all gets messy. Drake's been caught slipping in moments that don't exactly scream mob boss. Take the whole drama with DRAM, for example. Dram had that fun little bop cha-cha, and right after, Drake slid in with Hotline Bling, originally titled Cha-Cha Remix. He switched the name, flipped the vibe, and pushed it like it was his own baby. Dram tried to keep it cool in public, but later admitted he felt played heavy by that move. Fast forward a few years, Coachella. Dram pressed Drake about it, man to man, but instead of Drake handling business himself, his bodyguards jumped in and laid hands on Dram before anything could even pop off. Drake didn't throw a single punch. That's the pattern right there. Let the muscle get dirty while he keeps his image spotless. That's the playbook he lives by. Strategic? Yeah. Gangsta? Not really. Even Dram himself said it. Let's rewind and really look at some of Drake's shakiest street moments. Remember that wild rumor about T.I.'s crew supposedly peeing on him in a theater? Or when Diddy slapped him backstage so hard that Jay-Z had to step in and break it up? If that had happened to any other rapper, the internet would have roasted them into oblivion forever. But somehow Drake just skated past it like nothing ever happened. And then things get even murkier. Drake's close ties with Ian Connor, the fashion stylist who had major influence in rap circles but also carried some deeply disturbing allegations, raised eyebrows everywhere. Ian was the one who helped bring Playboy Cardi into Drake's orbit, even got him a spot on Pain 1993. Drake showed love back, name-dropped Ian in his verse, and even tossed money with him in the strip club. But then the friendship suddenly flipped. Ian posted that he had blocked Drake, and right after that, Chubbs, Drake's right-hand enforcer, jumped in the comments saying Ian got checked by the OVO goons, straight up calling him a little boy and all that. Keep in mind, Ian was even featured in the Rich Flex video with 21 Savage. So if there's tension, it's brand new smoke. And this is where it all comes together. Drake rolls with dudes carrying heavy allegations, but the moment they step out of line, he doesn't handle it himself. He sends in his muscle. Same playbook as always. That's the core of it. Drake's street persona isn't authentic power. It's like high-end cosplay dressed up as credibility. Drake loves to sprinkle gang talk in his bars, post up with street-certified figures, and let his goons handle the dirty work. But the second things get real. Whether it's Kendrick ripping the mask off that cosplay persona in their beef, or actual street politics moving in Piru and Compton, Drake steps back, not in. And that's exactly what Kendrick exposed, the difference between borrowing the culture and actually being raised in it. Drake might talk tough, but Kendrick lived it. walking through neighborhoods where respect can't be bought, only earned. Let's keep it real. Drake probably walked into this clash thinking it would be another lyrical sparring match, another headline moment, but Kendrick flipped the script. He pulled off the mask and revealed the fake street costume Drake had been rocking for years, and the shift in Drake's whole vibe was obvious. Suddenly, the same man who barked about mob ties and flexed about having shooters on deck started moving real cautious. No more talk of red flags, no subliminals about hitters, just careful PR plays, silence, and deflection. And once whispers started spreading, people saying certain blocks in LA, especially Piru sets, were watching closely, it was like Drake slammed on the brakes. Reality hit him fast and heavy. Because Kendrick isn't just a rapper from Compton. He's protected, and stepping against him in that kind of environment isn't just risky, it's reckless, which leaves the biggest twist of all. Why did Drake even take that gamble in the first place? What made him think he could test someone like Kendrick, who's covered by roots and respect that money can't buy? So knowing Kendrick's deep roots, what was it? Ego? Or was Drake just too used to winning battles on his own terms, forgetting that this time he wasn't just battling a rapper? He was up against a whole city's pride. At first, Drake was loud with it, slick bars in his songs, tweaking lyrics live on stage, even using Instagram like a war zone. For weeks, he threw jabs like he was untouchable. But then came Not Like Us, and the moment that record took over the Super Bowl stage, everything flipped. The streets crowned Kendrick the people's champ, and Drake vanished from the fight almost instantly. No more sneak disses, no subs. Instead of firing back on Wack, he popped up on his album saying, "Forget rap beef, I'm just trying to get the party lit on. Give me a hug that's not a counter, it's a white flag waving in neon." His social media shifted too. Back to vacation pics, luxury fits, club nights, and exotic scenery. Not a single word about Kendrick, not a single post about the lyrical bloodbath the world was watching. And here's the real twist. Drake let Not Like Us go nuclear. No countertrack, no freestyle, no nothing. That's insane when you remember this is the same Drake who went full war mode against Meek Mill, Pusha T, and even threw darts at Joe Budden. Think about it. Kendrick performed that diss live at the Super Bowl in front of 130 million people tuned in, and Drake just stood back silent. No clap back, no response, nothing. The question that hangs in the air is simple. What really happened behind the curtain that made one of rap's boldest strategists go quiet when the lights were brightest? Did Drake finally realize he couldn't win this one? Or did somebody behind the curtain pull him aside and remind him how LA really works? Out there, Compton legends aren't just about music. They're tied to politics, respect, and protection that money can't buy. And once those West Coast OGs start circling up, you've only got two choices. Respect the code or get pushed straight out the paint. When the Piru and other Compton sets started openly riding for Kendrick, that wasn't just neighborhood loyalty, that was a power move across California. Because once street politics step into a rap beef, it's no longer about who's got the hardest bars. It's about real life consequences, the kind you can't walk back with an apology post or a flashy verse. On the surface, it might have looked like another round of music industry drama, but when certain sets show public love for somebody like Kendrick, that's more than support. It's a warning. They're saying, this one's protected. And even the most seasoned OGs know exactly what that means when those lines get crossed. This ain't nothing new either. The West Coast has always had a long memory. Just think back to the East Coast verses. West Coast War in the 90s, things went way past Wack and too many lives were lost because of it. Even today, one little sneak diss or a sideways look at the wrong club can spark something dangerous if you're not careful with how you move. That's why voices like Wack 100 have been so loud about this, and why even someone as respected as Jay Prince knows when to step back and respect West Coast rules. These guys understand the unspoken code. It's not just about music, it's about survival. Drake's been surrounded by street dudes for years, but there's a big difference between being around it and actually being inside it. And once that Kendrick beef took a sharp left, it's like Drake suddenly realized, this ain't Toronto anymore. Out in Compton, one wrong word can get ugly fast, and the OGs out west don't play about that. They've lived through the dark side of beefs and seen rap legends taken out when mic wars turned into something far more dangerous. That's why they step in, not to stir up chaos, but to shut it down before things go past the point of no return. Because once certain lines are spoken, there's no pulling them back, not even if you're a global superstar like Drake. And while Drake might have hit pause on this war, Kendrick's still outside, still got the streets behind him, still turning diss tracks into anthems the world can't ignore. So if Drake closed this chapter, what's Kendrick about to do next? Because make no mistake, Kendrick didn't just win the battle, he rewrote the whole rule book. While Drake was out here tossing subliminals and hoping they'd sting, Kendrick played it cool and deadly. No loud threats, no social media antics, no desperate back and forths, just precision, execution. Every single bar was a blade, every move silent but lethal. And the craziest part? Kendrick didn't even have to scream about his street ties. The streets spoke for him. His hometown, the OGs, and West Coast legends stood tall, making it clear Kendrick is solidified, untouchable. Now line that up against Drake, who tried to flash the street card like a prop, and the contrast couldn't be louder. All those mob ties, all that tough talk, all that muscle flexing behind the mic, it vanished the second the real one spoke up. The diss tracks dried up overnight, the IG antics disappeared, and suddenly Drake's whole energy shifted back to brand deals, luxury trips, and vacation flicks. He didn't even need to say a word. His silence was screaming louder than any track he could have dropped. And here's where it gets even heavier. If those whispers are true about a certain video floating around, one that allegedly shows Drake getting checked by some Piru OGs, then everything makes sense. If that footage ever leaks, that could be the moment that explains why Drake pumped the brakes so quick. Because that's when he might have realized, this ain't rap games anymore, this is real life. And the people Kendrick has around him, they don't move for clout, they don't care about followers, they handle business off the grid. So the question is, did Drake finally learn his lesson here? Because looking at the bigger picture, this might have been the very first time Drake actually got humbled in a rap beef. He's always been the clever one, the strategist, the last to respond with the sharpest comeback. But this time, he stepped into the wrong arena. Because Kendrick isn't just lyrical, he's legit. Let's break down the fallout, because this wasn't just another rap battle for Drake. This one hit different. Usually the stakes are about chart spots or streaming numbers, but this time, it was about credibility. And when that kind of smoke is coming from Kendrick, someone already respected to the highest degree and with the street standing tall behind him, that's pressure Drake couldn't finesse his way out of. Drake might have realized real quick that standing toe-to-toe with someone who moves like Kendrick wasn't worth the gamble, especially once OGs started circling the situation. And yeah, Drake's always been good at flipping losses into lessons, so don't be shocked if he uses this to reinvent himself again, maybe leaning into a more grown persona, more above the drama, maybe even the healing vibes lane. That's classic Drake, turning scars into strategy. But let's be real, no matter how he spins it, the culture won't forget this one. Because Kendrick didn't just walk away with a win, he walked away with the crown. And not just because he outbarred Drake, but because he tapped into something deeper, respect, legacy, and community that no brand, no feature, and no PR campaign can buy. And if you rocked with this breakdown, don't forget, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this with the fam, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. He reminded the whole world that respect isn't something you can post about on IG. It's something you live every single day. Kendrick never had to pretend to be from the streets. He's simply respected by them. And that's the kind of weight no check, no chain, no stage photo op can ever buy. The power shift is loud and clear now, undeniable. Drake, he's still a giant in the industry, still one of the most successful artists alive. But Kendrick just made it crystal. He's the one rappers fear, the one the streets follow, and the one who doesn't even need to say much to shake the whole room. That silence, that presence, that's real power. At the end of the day, Drake didn't get canceled, but he did get checked. And now everybody can see the line between an industry-made gangsta and a certified legend. So if you felt this breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with the fam, and I'll catch you on the next one.